Welcome back in this Chapter 3 video tutorial on Macro and VBA Tutorial Basic to Advanced. In this tutorial, we will learn how to record macro, reuse the recorded macro, and how to save the Excel workbook that contains macros. As we already learned that the macros are used for automating repetitive tasks. Suppose that you have a repetitive task of creating the sales reporting format every day. This you need to make time and again. In this case, you can record all the steps of creating this format and reuse it whenever required. Let's start. First, click on the Developer tab. Here you have a Record Macro button. Below it, there is Use Relative Reference option. This option is similar with relative cell reference in Excel formulas. If this option is selected before recording macro, the macro will be executed in relative cell location. If this option is not selected, it will execute in fixed location. If you remember in Chapter 1, there was an invoicing software where we need to remove the details of invoice by clicking on Cancel button. In that type of situation, we do not need to select this Use Relative Reference because every time the action has to be performed on the same cell location. So, if this option is not selected, it is absolute referencing, and if selected, it is relative referencing. Let's select this option. Click on this B2 cell, then click on this Record Macro button. A new dialog box will launch. In the macro name, you can put any name that relates to the task you are doing. Let's type here sales_format. In macro names, you must not include any space. In the shortcut key, you can assign the key combination to quickly run or reuse the macro. But while assigning shortcut key, you should not use the key that is already set in Excel. For example, Ctrl+C, this is already set to copy the selection. So, you cannot use the shortcut that is already booked by default. Assigning the shortcut is optional. If you wish, you can skip this here. Let's use here the shortcut of Ctrl+Shift+J. For this, click on this small box. Then press Shift and J key together. Here you see, Ctrl+Shift+J is assigned as a shortcut key. In this Store macro in, you have three options. Select this Personal Macro Workbook if you want to use your recorded macro across any workbook. Select this Workbook option if you want to use recorded macro in this current workbook only. And use this New Workbook if you want to use the macro in a new workbook. Let me select here this workbook option. Here in the description, you can write what does this macro do. If you are making many macros, you may get confused on which macro does what. So, writing the description will make you easy to know what it does. But this is optional. You can skip this if you do not want to put. Let's write the description. This macro creates a format for sales report. Now click on OK button. Here you see, the text changed to Stop Recording. It means currently Excel is recording the things. Whatever change you make in this Excel window will be recorded in a programming language model. Now, make the sales report format. In the active cell, write date. In C2 cell, write product name. In D2 cell, write quantity sold. Auto-fit the columns. Select few rows and apply borders. Below the last row, type total. Then use the sum function to calculate total. In the column headers, apply fill color and make them bold. Do the same in total too. Now, all the things we did here is recorded. Click on Developer tab and click on Stop Recording. Now, if you need to make this sales report format again, you can simply press the assigned shortcut key. Let me create here a new sheet. Click on the cell. Press Ctrl plus Shift plus J. The sales format is created. Again, click on the cell, press Ctrl plus Shift plus J. Sales format is created. If you want to see the macro code, click on this macros option. Here you have the macro. To see the codes, click on this edit button. Here you have the language model of the actions you did to make the sales report format. You can also edit this macro code if you need any change. For example, if you want to write item name in the place of product name, change this product to item. Close this VBA window. Select this cell. Press the shortcut key. Here you see, in this format, item name is given in the place of product name. If you have not assigned any shortcut key, then you have to go to Macros, select the macro, and click on Run button to execute the code. Click on the cell. Click on Macros. Select the macro. Hit the Run button. Here you see, the code is executed here. So, this is how the macro automates the repetitive tasks. Now, let's learn how to save the Excel workbook that has macro codes. If you click on this Save button, you will get this message. Read this carefully. This is telling us if we have used macro codes, we have to save this file as a macro-enabled file type. Click on Go Back. This goes to Save as Window. To go to Save as Window, click on File tab, then Save As. In this file type list, select Excel Macro-Enabled File Type. Choose the location to save your file. Then click on Save button. Here you see the macro-enabled file is saved. If you see in the file icon, you see a slight difference. If you check the file extension, Normal Workbook has XLSX extension and Macro-Enabled Workbook has XLSM extension. To use the macro and VBA tools, you have to use this macro-enabled file. So, this is how we record and run the macro. Edit the macro and save the workbook that has macro codes. By following same method, you can automate the repetitive tasks. In the next chapter, we will learn the user interface of VBA window and how to write the codes manually in VBA. Thank you so much for watching this. If you are new here in this channel, consider subscribing and turn on all notifications so that you will never miss new tutorials. Bye for now. See you in next chapter.